This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hey all, and welcome back to Party Loaded. This is episode 3 for the 1st of December. Pinch and punch for the 1st of the month. Oh yeah. Christmas is coming up fast, not too far, and I think we've got just over 2 Mondays until The Force Awakens as well. Very exciting. So we got tons of stuff to talk about and a couple of people to do it tonight with me. I'm Luke Retallick, and joining me we have Ollie. What's going on, man?
Hello. I'd rather be playing Star Wars Battlefront right now. Hello, Internet.
And the person who's not an asshole, we have Imogen.
Hello, I'm not an asshole. Hello, friends. You'll have to excuse me this week. I've had a head cold, so sound like I'm talking through my nose. It's because I am.
Yeah, that is cool. Unfortunately, we are not joined by Jam tonight. She is off gorging herself silly on food at a sibling's birthday party, I believe. So we're going to make do without her, and she can suffer the pain of the food coma that she'll no doubt have tomorrow.
Yeah, it was,
oh
guys, I can't do a podcast. I'm so sorry. I have to eat delicious things and drink booze. Oh, no.
There's this amazing cake. You should hear all about it.
Well, we're here slaving away making content. Yeah.
Slaving away.
Yeah, playing games and talking about games is such hard work. So, but on that note, we are a video games podcast, and we do talk about that a bit. We've probably got a fair bit more to cover tonight in that regard. So what's everyone been doing the last couple of weeks? Are we still Star Wars and Fallout crazy and all those things? Ollie, what's been on your plate?
Yep, just Star Wars and Fallout.
Yep.
I have played The Room a little bit now because you guys yelled at me to do it, so I did for like half an hour. But mostly Star Wars Battlefront, which I'm enjoying a lot more than I did previously.
Okay.
And yeah, continuing on Fallout 4, getting the main quest done. So that's going well. It's
interesting, actually. Like, since we talked about Battlefront last episode, I've been sort of doing the rounds and seeing what the internet in general has thought about the game by and large. And there's been like quite a bit of criticism that I hadn't initially picked up on about a number of different things. The views seem to be all over the place, like not like a lot of other big sort of Star Wars or AAA releases where the consensus has been, fairly consistent. Battlefront's like all over the place. I think one of the things that maybe didn't help was that it came out around the same time as, the new Black Ops as well. So people have been comparing the two, and even though Black Ops is a COD game.
Completely different games.
Yeah. I mean, it's still in the shooter sort of
space
for a lot of people. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So has your opinion changed at all since?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, personally, I've gone less from it's the sort of cold, calculated shooter like, say, Counter-Strike is where I've come from and, Black Ops and all that sort of stuff. And it's more just batshit crazy. Like, you spawn in and it is just hell. It is just lasers and you're just, I'm going to go over there. Sure. All right. Nope. I'm dead. Try again. It is just pure chaos. It does reward turret and vehicle farming a little bit. That's okay because, it is definitely just have fun, shoot lasers. I think people that are trying to do the whole, I must get a 1.92 KD ratio are going to be horribly disappointed with it. Whereas if you just go, I'm flying an X-Wing, that's cool, then you will enjoy the game infinitely more.
I've got to say, like, I think a certain degree of it, and this is a common complaint with a lot of people amongst some of the big news sites. Like you look at I'm not going to say that these particular sites are guilty of this in this particular case, but as a generalization, you've got your sites like your your IGN and your Polygon and so on and so forth that actually give rating scores for games. I think a lot of them, when they put their reviews up, you read through the textual content of their breakdown of the game, and then you see the score, and often the two don't match, and you sort of wonder if they get into this space where, because it's a Star Wars game, because it's a AAA release, and because there's been a lot of hype surrounding it, whether they're kind of scared to give it a rating lower than an 8.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, money's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean,
not that you heard that from me.
Well,
Sorry.
You know that Kotaku actually got blacklisted recently by Bethesda.
Mm-hmm.
Because of some of the content they put up. So, yeah, I think it's not a good situation when a games publisher, goes and does that, because there's a certain amount of inherent manipulation of the media that comes as a direct result of it, regardless of whether that's their intent or not. Well, clearly it is to a certain degree. But, I mean, it is kind of good in a way that it happens, because it does remind us from time to time that sometimes these sites actually do things that are not necessarily in their best interest, because they have a message that they want to get out there, and they do it, damn at the cost. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a bit of a snafu, that one.
Weird one, but I don't know. How about you, Imogen? What have you been doing game-wise?
Well, unfortunately, I have not done what I thought I would be able to do and spent any more time in Fallout, which I really, really want to do. And in lieu, had finished The Room 3, which we'll talk about. Played some Heroes of the Storm with some mutual friends, which was loads of fun. That was a really interesting way to play a MOBA that I've never enjoyed before. But most importantly, Jam and I went to the Perth Games Festival. So we played a whole bunch of games there.
Nice.
Everything ranging from little puzzle games like Nicograms from Hungry Sky, which are local guys. Mr. Nibbles Forever, from the best dev name I've ever heard, Epic Shrimp. We didn't get a chance to play, but there was a sort of co-op game called Bramble Ash by Byte Sprite, which actually looked really good, and I'll be looking that up as soon as I can. The queue for that was huge, and it was just bright and colourful, and sort of co-op game where you got a little leash between you and you have to sort of figure out puzzles to a way to take out enemies, but also sort of stand in sort of King of the Hill style stuff, and that looked really fun, so that would be a good sort of game to play with friends.
Yeah.
Also had a bit of a chat to Jacob Janerka, who's the guy who developed a game Paradigm, which received some hot press as PewDiePie played his game. So we had a bit of a chat with him about that. It's a very odd game set in a sort of Eastern European settlement to do with, in the future, genetic alterations to get sort of the perfect child, and then somebody comes out and is not perhaps 100%, and sort of you go through sort of a game trying to explore their life as a mutant.
Yeah.
So it's Gattaca really the game?
I was just thinking that.
No, much more cartoony, very tongue-in-cheek, very kind of funny, has a good laugh at itself. He wants to be a rock and roll star from the very small amount that we could see. It looked really good, and that was on PC. So obviously, notably, one game that was there was SK Games, in usual fashion, brought a somewhat controversial game, as so it seems, called Catnip, which was effectively two giant, sort of 2-foot-long cat plush toys with joystick nipples, and then the actual game was to aim those nipples at the kittens of your colour versus the other guys to try and feed your cats until they went to sleep. And it was less feeding, more fire hose to the face of these kittens, and received some mixed reviews from being on the floor, but it's what those guys do, and do so well, and I thought it was entertaining and a novel idea. Obviously probably not going to be something that they start selling in stores.
So someone made Furry Fetish the game, basically.
Yeah, effectively. It was very odd. When Jam and I walked up, we were actually waiting in line behind a couple of kids, and there was sort of a moment in my head that I went, is that appropriate? But you know what? Their parents are there, and it wasn't in the mature age content section. And it was kitten was very cute, and for them, I just like the way that they always managed to take an idea and they would make it, even if it's not something that's, going to sell or make them millions. It's about exploring different ways of creating game and content, and they do it very well. And other than that, I have just invested in an Xbox One.
Hey!
Yay!
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Took
You're
my
a real
time.
gamer now.
Took my time entering into the newer gen. It's not even newer gen, next gen. Let's say next gen.
Yeah. Well, current gen now, really. We can't.
Current gen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been agonizing and back and forth. And then, of course, it being Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there was lots of cool deals. So that has and will be plugged in and no doubt updated to within an inch of its life tomorrow. So that's exciting. And I got the one with Tomb Raider. So I really, though, need to get more time in Fallout. I do miss it. I want to go wander around the wasteland and listen to music very badly.
Yep. I'm in a similar boat as far as Fallout's concerned. I've probably clocked about another 5 hours this week on it, and that's all. But I've gotten heaps of gaming in of various different sorts. I downloaded and finished Minecraft Story Mode Episode 3. So both myself and my son have played that now. So he has now assembled the F-bomb. and dropped it, and that was an interesting little twist. I won't give anything away, but suffice to say that this is episode 3 and there's another 2 episodes to go, so you can assume that things did not go entirely to plan, otherwise the game would be over by this point. So what else? Heroes of the Storm, that was sort of a bit out of nowhere one, which ended up being a lot of fun with you guys. We'll go through that in a bit. I, of course, decided along with everybody else in the team to get a room together and started playing Room 3. And I think I'm about, by my best guess, I think I'm about half an hour away from finishing that. So I'm very, very close to the end. And basically trying not to screw it up the last bit. We'll see how that goes. And I picked up Legacy of the Void as well. So I've been looking at the new StarCraft expansion and wanted to grab that because I've really enjoyed StarCraft up to this point. And I've never sort of played StarCraft competitively online, doing the whole multiplayer thing, but I really enjoy the single-player campaign. And just as a fun single player game, there's a lot of unlocks and achievements and things that you can get in game, which give it a bit of replay value. So that's been really fun. I thought I'd check that out, and it's a game that's going to continue to have content added to it by way of DLC in the future too. So I think it's still a good investment. I think Blizzard like to continue investing in their games for quite some time. So it's not like you're sort of purchasing a finale by any length. It's going to have a bit of legs to come, I think. So. Not so much Hearthstone this week because the League of Explorers took a week off over Thanksgiving, so I had a small break.
That.
Yeah, although it is the end of the November season, so I tried to rank up a little bit more before the end of the season so I could get some cool cards. But I think that finishes tonight actually, so we'll see how that all winds up. Yeah, so it's been a pretty full-on week actually. Gotten lots of stuff in. Just need to clock some time back in Fallout, pretty much. But you mentioned before the Black Friday sales and things. Do we want to reveal what we picked up for ourselves now? What did everyone get?
Far too many toy soldier things. Just too many.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money. I feel sorry for my bank account now.
Yeah. Well, you're in a unique position where you're sort of, looking at selling and moving properties, so you've got a little bit more disposable income now than you normally have, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but that didn't make a difference.
Didn't impact decision making.
I went, oh, shiny things, and they're on sale. Yes, don't mind if I do. I did buy some computer games, to be fair.
Mm.
In my defense, I did pick up City Skylines.
Yep.
Goodbye.
And that was about it. But that's not the point.
Sorry, Imogen, were you saying goodbye as in see you later,
Both.
get out of here?
Both. City Skylines
I will never
will
see you
absorb
again.
your life. Yeah. And also, it was a goodbye.
Yeah.
Pick up.
So, Ollie, maybe you can answer this question because I've actually been wondering this for a while. So the most recent SimCity versus City Skylines, what's the biggest differences between the two? Do you have a handle on that?
One's apparently a good game.
Okay.
City Skylines is apparently a good game versus SimCity, which apparently is just a piece of crap.
Mm.
That is what everyone on the internet tells me.
I've played that SimCity, and I have to agree, it did sort of get to a point where it's just a little bit too buggy and crunchy and not enjoyable.
Mm. Yeah, I bought it when it came out as well, and I was not particularly impressed. I think we all played it for all of maybe a week, and then not even that, and then we just kind of got bored of it, which was disappointing. So yeah, I usually get sucked into those sim games a little bit, but give me SimCity 2000 any day. I think that was a...
Well, Farming Simulator is on sale for another 6 hours, so you can always pick.
Yes.
That's supposed to be amazing. I saw the Penny Arcade; they do their first 15-minute videos. And they played it, and it was. I watched it thinking it was going to be hilarious, and they actually genuinely enjoyed it, and it did look a little bit fun. So I considered it.
Play a bit of time into that for sure. No, I must admit.
Oh man.
I must admit, it did look intriguing, but I don't know if it'd catch my attention. Really, I know that sort of thing is good for some. There's a lot of simulation games out there now. I mean, how can you possibly choose a game like Farm Simulator over Goat Simulator, though? I mean, really.
But what about Train Simulator? It's so hardcore and in depth.
Prison Architect is also on sale. That's probably a good sim game if you're looking to pick that up.
Yep,
that game's actually quite fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I'm going to be spending lots of hours and wondering about, it's going to be Fallout at this stage. So I didn't even look at The Witcher 3. I was originally going to pick it up, but
you really should.
I know I should, but by the time I finish, get around to having the time to play it decently, it's probably going to be on Xbox versus on my PC. So I can actually sort of... That was the compromise I made, getting Fallout on my PC so I could get it ASAP.
Yeah.
But I prefer to play those types of games on a console so I can sort of sit back and relax and lose myself in a mystical world of post-apocalyptic.
And a couch.
And a couch, yeah. Hopefully a beanbag.
Yeah. Yeah, I only picked up a couple of games on the Steam sale. So I got Ori and the Blind Forest after... You were raving about it, and
job.
Oh, sorry, I picked that up as well.
Oh, did you?
Oh, good job.
To mention that.
Yeah. So, I mean, given that it's got a few nominations at the Game Awards, which are happening later this week, I thought it would be a good opportunity to check that out around the same time, just to sort of see how it stacks up against the competition. So,
just watch them feels at the beginning, guys.
Yeah. Well, I saw a trailer for it, which actually gave me a bit of an insight to the gameplay and the art direction and that kind of thing, and I was pretty blown away. It looks spectacular. So, yeah.
I tried playing it just on keyboard, and I actually went out and bought a controller for my PC so that I could play this game. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah. Oh, I've got the DualShock 4 mapped using a little tool called Input Mapper on my PC, which I used to play GTA Online, so I'll probably use that.
I'll just harden up.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Ollie. You're pretty pro at the keyboard and mouse.
Oh, I was. Yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's chat some gaming news of the week. What do we got on the list?
We got some Rocket League stuff coming out. So they've got their Winter League things coming, which basically is have some new hats and little bits and pieces for your car. Mm-hmm. And there's a little hockey mode thing as well, which replaces the ball with a puck. It should be really cool, actually.
That would be
intrigued
fun.
by that one. Yeah, because at the moment they've got here's a random mutator thing happening. So different game mode, there was ball size and gravity and speeds and boost power-ups and stuff. And that'll get changed to have ice hockey, which will be either incredible or incredibly frustrating depending on how slippery the floor is.
Will that not
it's not like you had that much control anyway.
Yeah. I was going to say, would that not limit a bit of the sort of wild and wacky stuff that can happen in the game with getting airborne and the ball sort of launching itself high up around the place? Because, I mean, a puck is designed to be, skimming across the ground more so.
Yeah, but if they make it so it skims up the walls, that's fine, because in Rocket League you can drive on the walls and the ceiling.
Oh,
so
okay.
If they then make the puck go up the sides of the wall, that's fine.
So it starts to be like a bit of an air hockey game there where it's just going to fly off the table no matter what.
And kill some poor child 3 tables away.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you get a little bit excited with it. Mm-hmm. But I saw the Rocket League have got today actually some new Portal-themed content as well. Have a companion cube. I think it's an aerial bit of
cute.
a decoration or whatever it is, and some stickers and stuff. So, have Rocket League actually released a lot of DLC so far? Has it been
not a lot. It's mostly just been very similar to TF2, where it's here's a new antenna thing, here's a new little car thingy.
They had a Halloween release as well, I think.
The biggest thing they've done was the Mutator mashup mode. That was the biggest DLC update thing that they've done so far from my memory. I'm sure someone will be like, no, sir, you are wrong. And I'm like, well, yes, I probably am. But that's from my memory. That's been the latest thing they've done.
Yeah. So on the topic of games that you've been playing a bit in the last sort of few months, the Battlefront Battle of Jakku DLC rolls out today as well.
Yep, that's why I'd rather be playing Star Wars Battlefront right now, because I only just realised that as we started recording. Son of a bitch.
Nice. Well, there's a few more DLCs that are going to come out for the game, because apparently they've got 4 at least planned, and this is the first of those ones. So,
not going to lie, there's a small little window on my desktop called Star Wars Battlefront, and it is currently loaded.
Nice. Well, it's a free one as well, apparently.
I don't know, because I bought the season pack. So for me, sure. Okay.
It's free to everybody from the 8th of December. I don't know if people who've got the season pass get it early.
Yeah, we get it earlier.
Yeah. It adds 2 new maps, and there's a new game mode as well called Turning Point, which is a 40-player map. So,
wow.
Which is pretty crazy.
I like the idea of that mode, so we'll see how well it plays.
Yeah, very cool. But apparently you'll be able to pilot ATST walkers and airspeeders on this one as well.
You can do that already.
Okay, cool. There you go. Nice.
Welcome to the game.
Fair enough. So what else we got? We had some Hearthstone news this week. So in the eSports sort of realm, Blizzard has been making a fair few announcements recently about new eSports ventures and increased investment in some of the games that they're supporting in the eSports realm, which they're obviously pretty serious about these days. And Hearthstone was one that has had a reasonably good eSports presence up until now, but they're investing in it pretty heavily for 2016. So there's going to be a World Championship series that's going to end at BlizzCon at the end of the year, and they're basically throughout the entire series putting up just shy of $2 million worth of prizes for the pool, which is pretty impressive. Jesus. So, yeah, like at BlizzCon just gone recently, amazing. I think the first prize was about $250,000. I don't know if that was the pool or the actual first prize.
That was first prize for Hearthstone, and then there was $250 for the rest. I think the total was about $1 million for all of them.
That sounds about right. Yeah, so it's almost doubling that, because they're going to have now regional championships as well, because there's 4 different regions, and at the end of each season they're actually going to have like a championship in each region with a prize pool of about $100,000. So. Which is pretty good.
I wonder if the Oceania one will. Yeah, you've got to start practicing. And I wonder if the Oceania one or Australia, or however they're splitting it up, one will line up with PAX Australia, because they had a big esports area, but certainly no Hearthstone.
Yeah, well, I mean, my hope, of course, being over in butt end of the country where we have to travel a considerable distance to get to anything important over here in Perth, is that it's all available to play online or remotely, so I don't actually have to travel over to the East Coast. But yeah, I mean, it would stand to reason if that was the case, because the Asia-Pacific region actually consists of Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, and Australia, New Zealand. So there's not really an easy central location to run an event at for those those countries. So
no, not when they're packing stadiums in Asia. No. Why would you bring it to Melbourne?
No.
Maybe they'll stream it. Maybe it'll be something that is an event on the weekend.
Possibly.
But it tends to that time tends to fall with a lot of the divisional kind of regional finals for a lot of other esports, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I consider myself a better than average casual Hearthstone player. I'm certainly not like uber competitive level where I bank enough time into the game to come up against anyone at a real sort of serious tournament standard. There's just no way. I'd get absolutely creamed. But it's funny, actually. Like, there's been a bit of press lately, and I was listening to an episode of Total Biscuits podcast. I don't know if it was a recent one or a little while ago, where he was talking about the competitive nature of Hearthstone and how he didn't actually rate it as a compatible game for esports because of the RNG factor. And for those playing at home, that's basically any game that has a severe amount of randomness in it. It's the random number generator factor. And Hearthstone has a fair bit of that. There's an increasing amount of RNG in Hearthstone overall, but it's becoming a bit more refined, where you've got mechanics that actually do give you a degree of choice within that randomness. So, I mean, the Discover mechanic that they added for League of Explorers is a good example of that, where it randomly generates 3 cards when you have a Discover ability that triggers, but you actually get to choose one of those 3. So there's a bit of control in there. But I don't know, it's just one of those games that despite the randomness factor, it's clear that it is a competitive game and that the people who are playing it well are consistently coming out on top. It's not like the top players list, shuffles all the time like you would expect if it was totally random. I don't consider it any more random than, say, the World Series of Poker. You still
or Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jinx, haha.
That's a real thing.
That's exactly right. And at the end of the day, you're still drawing cards from a deck in a random order.
Yeah.
So
it works for Magic the Gathering. It works for poker.
Yep. Yeah.
It'll work for Hearthstone. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yep. I completely agree.
I don't know for Hearthstone, the esports factor. I mean, World Series Poker, when you watch it on TV, you get that sort of shot of all these are the cards they've got. This is what they're playing with. So that the interesting part is watching how they use what they've got, and the bluffing and all of that. Whereas for me, card games like Hearthstone as an esports, I mean, obviously they're getting the people, otherwise there wouldn't be a $1 million prize pool. But for me, you'd have to understand a lot about the actual player. You'd have to understand what sort of decks they were doing and why they were doing it, if they were building them or if they're going to be blind decks or what the deal will be. So that I might, look some more up into that and see some of the content from this year to get a better idea, because I'm nowhere near that from a Hearthstone perspective. But this esports thing is not going away, so I should invest in it somewhere.
If Magic's anything to go by, they'll show you both players' hands. They'll analyze what's in their hands, what their likely moves are, what their deck lists are. So what are they trying to do with their decks, what their strategies might be. It's definitely not like, what's this Hearthstone thing? I'll check out the Twitch stream of the championships and you'll be able to understand it. Good Lord, no.
Okay.
No.
There'll be sort of commentary.
It is definitely like, if you play this game, you'll get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I found with Magic streams. Like, if you just went, I want to check out Magic the Gathering, let's watch the World Championships, what's going on?
Yeah.
You'll have no idea. And that's fair. But if you are at even just a moderate level like Luke will probably love the crap out of a World Champion final of Hearthstone.
Yeah, well, I did watch a bunch of the footage from the BlizzCon finals, and what you've just described is exactly how they did the coverage there, so that they have everything visible so you can see what both players are playing. They have the full-on commentary about, how they've been playing up until that point in the championship and what their deck strategies have typically been, what they favour playing, all that sort of stuff. One thing they did, which was actually quite good, is some of the more well-known streamers, the Twitch streamers, they actually got to do the running commentary at the official event, which makes sense because these are the guys that are actually making a full-time living doing streaming, which involves a fair bit of game knowledge and, presenting skills in front of a camera. So perfect fit for that kind of role. And they're sort of personalities on the scene too. But it's interesting. Imogen, what you've just described in terms of, having a bit of underlying knowledge of the games and being able to understand what's going on and therefore being able to enjoy it to the same level as, say, watching World Series of Poker. I think that is kind of the issue with esports in general. Like you hit this ceiling when it comes to general public participation in esports, because unlike a game of, say, football being broadcast on TV, and this could be any nationality's brand of football, you can kind of come into watching a game like that and know nothing about it as a sport at all, but be able to roughly follow sort of what's going on and have a bit of a handle on the rules just by being a casual observer. Whereas when it comes to esports, generally you do want to have a bit more of a knowledge as to how the game actually functions and some of the factors involved in the functionality of the things on screen. What do they actually do? What does this mean? What does that mean? And if you don't, it's a lot harder to kind of invest in that entertainment, even as a casual observer. So,
yeah. I mean, that's the same, like League of Legends and Dota and all of that. I understand, they're the biggest draw cards when it comes to esport. But whenever I've seen those events, and we were there 2 years ago now for the Oceania final of League of Legends, which was at PAX. 2014, and I remember thinking, well, this is a big deal, right? This is packing stadiums full of people, millions of people watch around the world. I'll stop and try and see what's going on. And I have a basic understanding of MOBAs, having played games for a long time, but I had no idea what was going on. And you really, I mean, now having played Heroes of the Storm a little bit this week, if you were a LoL player and watching it, then you're like, oh, I play that character. That's interesting. That's the way they use it. Or, I do that, or I'm mid, or I'm, this, that, and the other. But I only sort of was able to grasp it from the very small amount that I hear mentioned in podcasts and people talking about it and a little bit of people streaming. Otherwise, it's just lots of flashes, explosions, people everywhere. How anybody can enter into it without having a passion for it is very hard to understand. But obviously, the reason it's successful is because there's a lot of people interested in it, but not at that level.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating for people. Like, it'll be fascinating for me to see someone play Hearthstone at a level that I can imagine these guys will be at.
The commentary definitely helps.
You don't even think about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have thought of pairing that card with that card or making that a combo. Or I've never seen that card before, which is more likely.
I think what would almost help is if when you were viewing a live stream of an event like that, if you could actually almost sort of tune into two channels. One could be for people who are intricately versed in the game and its mechanics and its rules and want all that high-level commentary, all the nitty-gritty sort of meta stuff that matters to people who are experienced with the game. And then maybe you could have another option to people who are more casual about it and actually don't understand that level of detail but want to be able to follow what's going on and have someone actually explain it in slightly more layman's terms to enjoy the content as it's being streamed. I don't know. It's just an idea.
I think it's eSports, and it has to be separated from. I see where you're going with the analogy with football and things, but you don't have to have played soccer or AFL or NFL to watch it on TV. Whereas I think the difference with eSports is you really have to have either played that type of game or played that actual game to really enjoy it and be a true fan. And I can imagine maybe if you saw it and thought, that looks really cool, but I don't know what's going on, maybe that will push you to play, and then maybe you'll come back as an observer. But I think esports is a little bit different in that it's capturing a niche of people who are interested in that particular game.
Yeah. The niche of a niche.
Yeah.
A niche of a niche. So many niches. And there was a massive uproar. I mean, for me, I remember when ESPN streamed, it was ESPN2 even, streamed some esports earlier in the year. There was this massive sort of
that was the Heroes of the
on
Dawn
social media
thing?
from the traditional ESPN audience saying this isn't sport, this isn't what it's about, et cetera, et cetera. And thankfully ESPN came back and said, well, it is. Look how many people are watching this. Look how many people are involved. These people are athletes in a way.
Yeah.
They're still managed and they still, have to retire by the age of 20 because their reflexes are gone. It's still got all the sport tropes in it, and I think we will see more of it. Yeah. I hope that there is a little bit more understanding that it's not a niche anymore. We say niche, but there's probably more people watching these esports than there is watching NFL.
Well, it's infinitely more attainable for somebody to actually get on and play one of these games and get moderately good at it versus being able to get moderately good at a physical sport like NFL. So yeah.
As a sporty nerd, I'd argue that, but sure, go on.
As a sporty nerd.
I am never going to be a pro football player, but god damn it, I can move around on a mouse at a high speed.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it's more realistic that you could be a Dota player or a Hearthstone esports player than any of these other ones, and maybe that's capturing a whole new audience.
Yeah.
Whatever
the
it
air
is,
of attainability.
Yeah. There is billions of dollars in the industry, and it's not going anywhere. We're going to start seeing it more and more on our TV, probably pay TV more than anything else. But I don't think ESPN are going to stop doing it. They had some record audiences, so
yeah. No, it's awesome. I love it. I really enjoy watching it. I'm sort of watching it more and more these days, and it's good background content to have on as well when you're doing something else. It's very easy to sort of look up and follow like an important match rather than sort of sitting there and watching a 3-hour stream constantly. So, yeah, I mean, there's some sports that lend better to it than others, but I think in general it's moving in a pretty positive direction. So
yeah, whenever I want a bout of epilepsy, I just load up the Korean StarCraft finals and just that's always good.
Nice.
So many explosions.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous in the best possible way.
Well, the only other big news item that I wanted to touch on this week was we had Warner Brothers Montreal, who are the makers of Arkham Origins. So I know for people who are fans of the Arkham series of games, the main trilogy, as they're sort of known, being Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, I should say Arkham City first and then Arkham Knight, the most recent one. They sort of sit to one side, and then Arkham Origins was done by Warner Brothers Montreal as like a bit of a stand-in before Arkham Knight came out. It was designed as a prequel to the story, to sort of sit alongside it, but not being part of the core trilogy, if you like. But like, it was a game that was maligned by a lot of the public audience, due to it being a little bit buggy on release. Certainly not compared to Arkham Knight's issues on PC. Good God. But, it was, not rated as one of the best in the series. I personally loved it. I thought it was a friggin' awesome game. I really enjoyed it, and the narrative was very, very compelling. But they've actually announced that they've got plans for 2 more games set in the DC universe, and one of them at least is set to be another Arkham game, so potentially sitting between Arkham Origins and Arkham Asylum, which is pretty exciting to me. I think that'll be excellent. And the other one they're talking about could actually be a Suicide Squad game, so that sounds pretty exciting. Yeah. Well, as long as it's not a Suicide Squad based on the upcoming movie Suicide Squad, I'd prefer it to be more of a DC Comics core sort of Suicide Squad. That would be very, very cool. And in fact, there was a twist in Arkham Origins that kind of set up the beginning of the Suicide Squad a little bit. So Amanda Waller actually sort of turns up at one of the key cutscenes towards the end of the game. I won't spoil it too much for people, but there's definitely a tie in there, so that could be very cool. Yeah. But more Arkham games and more sort of general DC games of that similar style, I am always a big fan of because they've been very, very good so far. So,
do you think we're going to have a little bit of exhaustion with? So we've got Star Wars. A lot of what Ollie mentioned is to do with. I enjoy Star Wars games because I have fond memories of Star Wars and the movies, and it's the same with DC and Marvel stuff. It just seems like there's a lot. At the moment, there's probably going to be a saturation point.
Superhero fatigue?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I'm feeling that. I mean, at the moment, my Netflix queue is just all Marvel and DC.
Well, there's different genres that we've definitely had fatigue from. I think we hit vampire fatigue a few years ago for sure.
Yep. And we had dinosaur fatigue years before that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely hit superhero fatigue at some point. I don't think we're quite there yet. And I think that what they've started doing is actually very clever in that some of the more recent forays out into the superhero genre have sort of strayed from the standard formula a little bit. I mean, look at Daredevil and Jessica Jones. They're great examples of something that's a new take on like an existing trope. They're not the sort of, larger than life, brightly coloured Cape Crusaders running around and fighting crime anymore. They're, these dark, gritty, real life people stories that exist sort of under the layer of, what you see in the cinema. So that sort of stuff works really well.
Marvel saw Christopher Nolan's work and went, I like the cut of your jib, and decided to make TV shows like that.
Well, to a certain extent, but I feel that a lot of the comic book characters are better suited for a serial kind of story approach anyway, because to try and pack so much into a movie, and granted that a lot of the times they do it as a film because the budgets are bigger and they can do the effects better and all the CG and that sort of stuff they can cram in there. But, that's no longer entirely true. I mean, you look at things that are coming up in the near future, and to point at one great example, which is the upcoming DC Legends of Tomorrow TV series. That's going to have, effects and special, graphics and stuff out the wazoo, and it looks fantastic. And that's going to be a serial approach where they can actually spend time developing the characters' backstories and, giving it a bit more love in that regard rather than just one big sploosh at once. I think it'll be much better for it. But yeah, there's some really, really interesting takes. Another good one is the Marvel's Agent Carter. I think, doing that short season approach. And I think some of the shorter seasons do work a lot better too, because you don't find that issue that happens with a lot of TV series where they have the filler episodes.
Yeah, they don't need to pad it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it'll just be interesting. I mean, the way that they've continued and stopped the exhaustion with the TV series is, like you said, going with these grittier, smaller characters. I just feel like with games, it's a little bit difficult. I can't really see there being a Jessica Jones game.
I could.
That would be disturbing. Press triangle to drink.
Telltale Games would probably do a really good job on it.
That's true.
And I think episodic kind of stuff, but I do think these sort of the AAA titles, there it is getting to a point where people are getting like, oh, Star Wars is an exception, I think, because
just make me a good Spider-Man game.
So bright.
Yeah.
Yes.
All I ask. Make me a good Spider-Man game.
I'm amazed.
Spider-Man 2.
I'm amazed there hasn't been a decent one yet. I really am, because the mechanics of that character just seem like they are perfectly suited to a AAA title. But everyone that's tried it so far has just completely shat the bed. So
Yep.
Assassin's
Well aware.
Creed Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know. Well, I'm sure they'll look at that opportunity again when the third Spider-Man reboot happens.
Oh, goodness. They're going to keep trying. They're going
That's
to give it
right.
another go.
As long as there's money in it. Anywho, so we played a bit of Heroes of the Storm during the week, and so basically a bit of backstory behind this. I have been cajoled by a good friend of ours, Dave, to jump in and play a bit of Heroes of the Storm for a while now, because he managed to get into the beta with his wife Andy, and they played a whole bunch of it, and I think they've been just looking for some company to jump in and play some games. So I dived in a little while ago. I was a little bit sort of lukewarm on it initially because I'm not
So you did that.
Oh, well, yeah. That was not intentional. Look, I'm not a massive MOBA guy, and I think I've actually played a bit of League of Legends and checked out Dota 2 just to get a bit of a feel for it. Played League enough to understand that and understand how it works and understand the scene and kind of get it, but it wasn't my game. Like, I really didn't click with it, and I thought that the time investment for it was going to be way more than I was willing to make in order to get anywhere with it. And I did find the community to be exceptionally toxic, which was a big turnoff.
Yeah.
But I mean, Blizzard games in general I enjoy, and thought I'd give this one a bash, and I enjoyed it a lot more, and the more time I sunk into it, the more I've enjoyed it. So got chatting to Jamie and Imogen about it, and sort of on the release of the Two-Headed Ogre Cho'Gall, which we've been talking about recently, thought might be fun to jump in and give it a bit of a go. So last Friday we all jumped in together, the five of us, and I think we ripped through about 7 or 8 games on Friday night, didn't we?
Yeah,
had a great time. So it'd be fun to sort of talk about, especially Imogen, your opening impressions on the game and how you found it being, new to MOBAs in general. And I guess we should say that Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard promotes it as a hero brawler, not a MOBA. They're kidding themselves.
Let's
It's
be
a
honest
MOBA.
now.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a mid, there's a top, there's a bottom.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, there are some distinct differences between it and the other MOBAs, which we'll kind of cover, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is consistent enough, I think, to fall under the same genre. So, yeah.
Well, for me, I've only ever played very sparingly one particular MOBA type, which is Fates Forever, which I was recommended on the iPad and had a little bit of a go, but found, much like all of the other ones, it does get to a point, especially when the games have been out for a while, where the community is very experienced, and then when you're not, there's not a lot of tolerance for that. So it was very difficult to learn. To learn not against AI and against other people, and it was very, very sort of steeped in, don't do that, you're doing that wrong, and this, that, and the other, and I just stopped playing it. Which isn't to say, I probably was doing it all wrong, but there just wasn't a way for me to get into it without being a pro already.
Yeah.
So hearing that you guys were going to jump on, being a general Blizzard fangirl as it is, really, really enjoyed it. It's a little bit different to what I've experienced in the past, in that each of the different maps has sort of a nuance to it. Some of them you can't attack the core directly. You need to work as a team to capture points that fire then into it. And there was ones where there was only sort of 2 lanes rather than the traditional 3, and then you had to help out a guardian in the middle and all those types of things. One thing that I learned was it was infinitely more fun playing with people that I knew and that I could communicate with. Again, shout out to Mumble, saves our lives on a regular basis. I do not know how people play that game without voice chat.
Very angrily.
Very angrily, just lots of slash and then instructions and go here and don't do that and those types of things. Whereas having a chance to sort of chat and also working with Dave and Andrea, who is amazing at it, by the way.
Yeah.
They sort of pointed us in the right direction, and we start off doing a lot of games against the AI at various levels. Realized that on adept level we were getting our butts handed to us on a regular basis, so dropped it back down 1 level to the sort of the second from beginner, and did a little bit better, learned a little bit about characters we were playing, because that's the other challenge, is there's so many different characters. They all have their own things that they can and can't do, and ways that they support the team. So we each sort of found our little niche, and then gave it a go, and then we bumped it back up to adapt, and we did quite well.
Yeah.
To the point where this week we actually played our first game against real humans and got our butts handed to us. But we did all right. We did get to a point where we thought, it all was lost, and we sort of pulled it back a little bit. But yeah, it was a little bit of lessons learnt. It's a little bit harder to predict other humans. Obviously, the AI has a formula that it's following, or a way that it will try and stem things, whereas people are always going to have their own agendas. So that was really interesting. And then we gave veteran level a go against the AI, and did okay, did all right. We still lost, but I think, again, lessons learnt. I definitely prefer the ranged assassin, which is no surprise. I play ranged everything, all games ever. If it was a board game option to be ranged, I'd be ranged. But no, it was really, really fun. I like what they've done. I like seeing all of my favourite characters in the game and meeting some new ones, which was cool. Yeah. Anyone who plays Heroes of the Storm, I am currently favouring Valor. Dual-wielding crossbows had me at hello.
Yeah, absolutely. She's basically the witch hunter character that I played in Diablo when I played Diablo. So, yeah.
And Sylvanas, because she's just cool.
Yeah.
In the Warcraft universe, she's the shit. So she was she's a little
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. She was a little bit more nuanced. She's got little bits and pieces that are a little bit more reliant on who else she's going to be playing with, in character wise, and who she's playing against. So it's taken me a little bit longer to get used to playing her over Valor, but no, it was good. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I originally played a number of weeks ago, I actually went in as Muradin, who was the dwarf warrior, and I had an okay time with it, but I tended to find pretty quickly that I wasn't favouring the warrior character types too much. I was, like yourself, I'm definitely a ranged assassin player. I prefer to keep my distance a little bit more and have my options open when it comes to, being able to move around and attack from afar.
Running away.
Yeah, and running away. Yeah, exactly. Well, I do have this issue with MOBAs in general where I'm really bad at overcommitting and not pulling out quickly enough. So I tend to die a lot, and I really need to curb that bad habit if I'm going to get anywhere with any of these games. So you kind of get a little bit excited and end up in a situation that you just can't pull yourself out of. So... But I, after sort of having a bit of an average time with Muradin, I picked up the ranged assassin character Kael'thas. So Kael'thas is basically a Warcraft character, a blood elf mage who sort of specialises in raining down fiery death from afar. Has a lot of abilities sort of with the fire theme, so has like a persistent ground effect where you open up like a circle of fire. There's a living bomb ability where you can actually cast it on enemy characters, and when they die, they explode and do damage to things nearby. You can summon a phoenix onto the field as like one of your ultimate abilities, and it basically just spurts fire at everything nearby and sticks around for a little while doing that. But yeah, really, really fun character. I loved the shit out of Kael'thas. I was having a great time with him. Yeah, and
you didn't go anybody else the whole time we were playing.
No, I was just enjoying it so much. Yeah. I mean, I've got a few other characters that I've tried and used a little bit, but honestly, I just thought, screw it. I'm really enjoying this one. I'll just level it up a bit and see if I can actually improve my skill at it a bit. And by the time we finished up on the first night, I definitely felt like I learned a few things and was not making anywhere near as many errors and stuff as we went on. Getting the hang of some of the different maps as well, and like you say, the different victory conditions for each one makes a huge difference when you're all playing together as a team and actually supporting it and timing your pushes at different lanes and objectives and things. That was really, really good. But yeah, I mean, the game's a ton of fun. One of the things that I really like about it compared to League of Legends especially is the simplified nature of the decisions you need to make when your character sort of advances during the game. So you basically level up with the experience that you earn from killing minions and other characters, and have to
or
make...
your team earns.
Yeah, or your team earns, exactly. And that's the great thing. Like, your entire team levels up at the same time, so you don't have characters that are getting run away sort of more experienced than others. Like, your whole team is always the same level, and you can see how your team level compares to the opposing team's level, so how far ahead or behind you are. And every few level ups, you get to make a choice between different ability options. But unlike League of Legends, where you're basically earning in-game currency and spending that gold on weapons and equipment as well, this is just purely you're just choosing abilities. So it's way simpler than trying to manage like multiple in-game sort of economies to, advance your character as you're playing. I think, keeping it to a very short list of different abilities that you sort of cycle through and use, at the precise time to sort of, chain your different combos and things just was a lot more user-friendly. And I can see that people who are really heavily invested in MOBAs would find that to be like a dumbed-down version of the game. But honestly, for someone like me who's not as hardcore invested in that style of game, it really does remove one of the barriers for entry quite, effectively. Makes it a lot easier to jump in. Yeah.
That learning curve sounds a lot less steeper.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's still a huge amount of skill in the game, and I think the learning curve exists in other places, but it doesn't have that immediate like confusion level that you can have with having too many choices.
Memorizing tech trees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
something that Blizzard have always done well throughout all of their games is they'll look at, the way that a character levels, and they won't, saying they make it the easiest way is not correct. They're just the entry level. They're trying to keep in mind that this person may be, the first time they've ever played this type of game. They're not assuming that they're uber fans. And it happens in Hearthstone. It happens all over the joint. So they'll give you a base set of characters and they'll say, look, you can play the character this way or that way. They make it very clear from the get-go, and you can look at all these characters, their sort of eventual stats. You can sort of see where they can go. So you can be, if you're going to be a support character, you could be purely heals, or you could look at buffing and mana and those types of things. I think it's something that didn't surprise me coming out of Heroes of the Storm, having not played the other MOBAs before, but it did make it a lot easier. I like that you leveled up as a team. That is really, really easy and simple, and also means that, like you say, there's some people who will just farm for XP in some of those other games and just shoot way ahead. It was an indicator. We did know sort of instantly if we were 2 levels behind the other team that we were about to lose.
Yeah, things got hard.
They get their ultimate abilities way before you do, which are, super OP for some of the characters. We played against Kerrigan.
Oh, that taunt. Gosh. Oh, my God, I hate that bitch.
She just taunt you, capture you, and you just explode.
Yeah.
There was no hope. There was no, all of the characters tend to have a sort of rush away ability. Valor has one where she rolls away and she'll lay some sort of traps behind her so anyone chasing her gets caught up in those. But anything against Kerrigan, so frustrating to play against. Just, even Jamie, big ups to Jamie. She, I think, learned it very quickly, did some serious damage as Muradin, the dwarf.
She was rocking it hard with that character.
Yeah. She, along with Andrea, was doing very well with holding lanes all by themselves without me dying next to them constantly. Yeah, it was just lots and lots of fun. I do see that I would not have played this game if it was by myself. I would not have picked it up and gone, let's go play with some randoms at all. So it's just nice that, again, it's one of Blizzard's things they do. They'll give you the game for free. You just download it and you can play entirely free, or you can pay a small amount of money for characters, or you use in-game gold, which I think is done really well. So invested in a couple of characters that I wanted, but I certainly I'm going to work towards sort of skins and that kind of stuff and different mounts and things rather than buy them. But with 50% off over the weekend as well.
Yeah, those Black Friday sales certainly did help, didn't they?
They came in handy. A lot of those characters were half price. So I think Sylvanas was $6 US, which I don't see as being, considering I got the game for free. Yeah. I thought when you said let's play it, I was going to be hopping on and paying, $40 US for a game. So I sort of went with that kind of thing. Went, I'll just spend $20 US. I didn't even end up spending that. I think I spent $10 or so US. But have myself a little stable of characters to try out, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, if you get good solid couple of hours of entertainment out of that, I think it's money well spent.
Exactly right. The whole dollar per hour argument sits well with Heroes of the Storm, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the incentive they give you to play with friends as well, because you get a 100%, was it 100% or 50%? 50% experience bonus if you're actually playing in games with a friend, and I'm assuming that to be someone who's on your Battle.net contacts list.
Correct.
Yeah, which is really cool. So,
It's something there's rumoured to be introduced into World of Warcraft, interestingly enough, as well, which I think is really cool.
That is
Surprised
a
they
cool
haven't done
idea.
that already.
Yeah.
I haven't played in a while, so it might be a thing in raids, and I'm not sure. But it's something they'll start doing across the board, I think.
No, it was good. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I definitely want to play some more. I think the game structure in terms of the learning curve before you start getting towards the pro level play is very good too, because they actually lock out some of the higher competitive formats until your your player level is level 30 and you have at least 10 heroes to choose from. So then you become eligible for ranked play in Hero League and all that sort of fun stuff. So it'd be quite a while before we get there. And I think by the time, if we ever did, after that much practice, we'd be doing all right. So
I think it'll be a game that, we'll message each other and say, you want to play, and it'll be easy enough to pick up. It's going to be, we'll just add it to the list of games, Minecraft, GTA.
Pick up games, yeah.
I'm going to
Rocket
avoid
League.
it.
Yeah.
I definitely think,
games.
yeah, it's true, but it would be maybe just one night you might be tempted just to have a look.
I'm good.
Yeah.
My question though with the ranked games is it similar to Rocket League where they have, like you said, they lock you out of the hero level until you reach level 20 or 30 or whatever. Do they have like ranked servers below that grade? So if you're like, we're a bunch of level 5s, can you look up and try and get between level 4 to 6 like opponents, or will you just get thrown in the mix with potentially level 19s that are about to pip up?
It's a good question, actually. You basically can play casual matched games, which aren't ranked. Like you don't actually go on
pure random.
Yeah, pure random. Yeah, and I think I don't know what the logic engine is behind matching, but when we went in, we were fairly closely matched to the team we played against. There was, Imogen, by memory, we were all sitting around level 7 or 8 or 9 at the time. And Dave and Andrea were sort of around the 25-30 mark across our team. And I think we came up against another team that had about 3 players that were around the 25-plus mark, but there were a couple that were really, really low, like around the 2 or 3 mark.
Yeah,
I think it's like averages sort of thing.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you make a party. I mean, obviously we were already set. We had a party of 5, so finding a quit match, you're just basically looking for another party. I don't know how it does that, but I do know that looking for a party can be very difficult at the lower levels, because there does tend to be those guys from the 20 to 30 who are looking for 20 to 30 so that they can level up.
Yeah.
To that hero level. It does seem, you do level quite slowly, so I can imagine level 30 would be, a distance away, considering how many hours we played.
Well, there's also player level versus character level too, which, I would always go by player level in terms of the skill that you're facing.
Definitely.
Because
you could be a level 30 and your character could be brand new.
Exactly.
Trying something out new and you're like, oh.
Exactly. But you still level up against the AI. So we played all of those games against AI, and my character's leveled and I leveled. So you're still getting experience. It still counts. It's not all for now. You don't have to play against actual people to get that experience. And I think that's a valuable way to learn how to play. And the AI is not simple or easy. It's, not a cakewalk.
Yeah.
By any means, especially that veteran level. That was very difficult. As soon as we ran out, and Kerrigan.
Is veteran level the hardest?
No, there's one above that, heroic.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of the AI, that would be quite challenging for where we're at the moment, I think. So, yeah.
And I think, I think Dave or Andrea and a team of Dave and Andreas would do just fine. But, Dave
experienced gamers?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, well, Dave did a really good job of, basically leading us. So he would say, now you go there, you go here, or right, make sure you're all spread out. Or, I was with Jamie quite a bit, her being tank, me being ranged. And we make a good team anyway. He was really good at sort of, now everyone come and do this, or, those types of things. And that was really needed and valuable. And I guess not everyone has a Dave, but at least we do.
Why can't he do that in D&D?
Yeah.
Why did you save that for computer games?
He does do it in D&D. He doesn't help you because you're a pro.
No, he's just way too busy in D&D being a
helps me.
silly bastard. So, cool. So, Heroes of the Storm, highly recommend. Jump on and check it out, even for casual players, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so should we talk about The Room, or The Room 3?
We should.
Yeah, because I played The Room 3, not the first one.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should ask that first. Has anyone actually played the Room games, or is this the first for all of you? Okay. Cool. So The Room is basically an adventure puzzler game, probably the best way to describe it. So made by a small company by the name of Fireproof Games, and The Room and The Room 2 have been quite well known for being the recipients of some fairly major awards for apps on the iStore over the last, I think, 5 years is what we're talking. I was going to look up some dates while I'm talking. So The Room 3 literally just came out in the first week of November, I believe. So we kind of missed it in the excitement of all the AAA releases as of late. But it was definitely on my radar from when it came out, and I know Jamie was aware of it too. So we all kind of just got talking about it and jumped in and started playing. So Imogen, do you want to sort of talk through your first impressions and experiences with it?
Yeah, I guess I should preface it by saying that along with first-person shooters, puzzle games are very low on the list for me. I'm not that I'm not good at it. I just don't think that that's where I don't find it incredibly interesting. Having said that, The Room 3 and all of the other previous ones did come across my eye in my sort of trawling for new games in and around Fallout 3, looking for an iPad game, which is always good to have other than Hearthstone, and looked really good. So, and was highly recommended from Luke and from Jamie, gave it a shot. It was good. I enjoyed it. I have finished the game, so I'm going to try and not be as spoilery as possible. There is a hint system in Room 3. I do know that Jamie has finished the game, got a similar outcome to me in 5 hours 40 or so. I finished in 5 hours and 1 minute. But I would say that initially I used hints a fair bit until that chat with Jamie, and she said, oh, you can do it without hints. And it just had never occurred to me. I just thought, well, that's the game. That's what you're supposed to do. So sort of the first chapter, I think I did quite a bit of hints. I will say that a lot of the hints mostly just said, yes, you are doing the right thing. So I will get to a point where I'd be trying to do something in a puzzle and just go, why is this not working? What am I not getting? Or those types of things. And I would check the hint and we'd just go, no, have you looked at this? Or this looks strange, or this doesn't appear to be working, or, those types of things. And so I was already in the right place. I'm going to start off with my detractors. I got really towards the end bored of the zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out, turning around, and that's kind of thing. I found it on the iPad to be a little bit frustrating. For me, the touch controls, I found the same thing with the Telltale games. I'm going to prefer to play those on console and computer. It's so touch sensitive to where you want things and moving things around the screen. And I just found, especially you don't traditionally play your iPad sitting at a desk. You play it lying on a couch or sitting on a train or something like that. So that was the only sort of detractor for me, as I got, especially in the last 2 chapters which I played today. It just got really fed up with it not zooming in where I wanted it to. And there's one particular room where you have to use to make keys. I don't know if you've played that one yet, Luke.
Yeah, I have. Yep.
And oh my goodness, it just got very repetitive going in and out. And I was very obvious to me for that particular puzzle, not all puzzles by any means, what I had to do, and it just got really mechanical and dull. Having said that, I think that it's incredibly clever in the way that it uses multiple sort of planes of existence, let's say. You've got your little spyglass that you get very early on, which, you'll be looking at something for a while and you go, oh, wait a minute, and you'll check it and it will show you something entirely different, or words written down, or a pattern or something like that. And that was really, really well done. I really like that. The idea behind it, you've got this sort of omniscient person who is, has written letters about, how you're doomed, and then towards the end gets quite excited about the fact that you're getting towards the end and all that kind of stuff. And as the whole game, I enjoyed it. I felt accomplished when I finished, apart from the fact that I think technically I got the ending where I lost.
Yeah.
I think, without being spoiler, I think there's 4 or 5 different endings. There is, at the end, you see a window with a number, Jamie and I got the same number, and both, without having spoken about it in detail, got the same feeling that perhaps we hadn't won. And then in the very end screen, there's sort of 5 face down cards, and one of them will turn up. And I have the feeling that what that said on that card, which I won't spoil because people will find out, but I think each one of those is a different ending. And so you'll be, you win or lose depending on, or variants of that. Who knows? It could be the same ending for all, and you guys will have to let me know how you actually go, and we'll talk about it offline so we don't spoil it for people. But it's well done.
Finish it.
You do, because if anyone's because Jamie and I think have got the same ending, so we need you guys to give us some alternatives.
From what I've picked up from speaking to both of you so far, I'm reasonably confident that when I do finish it, it'll work out a bit different for me, at least. But
yeah. How about you? How have you been finding it? I mean, you're a bit of a fan anyway.
Well, like in terms of puzzle games, I love this stuff. This is exactly my wheelhouse. And I used to be a big fan of the old sort of, Zork games, the 3D ones, not the old text-based ones. Myst was a huge favourite of mine when I was a kid, and that's the same.
This reminds me of Myst a lot.
Yeah, big time, yeah. Certainly more advanced in terms of the room sort of structures and the graphics, and the touch controls are really, really good. They're quite tactile, so you often have an object that you're manipulating, and there's very fine details on it that you can actually manipulate further rather than just looking at it, which is quite cool. So I've really enjoyed all of that. I think that the story is a bit of a sleeper hit for me as well. Like the sort of the narrative that plays out when you very first start, to me, feels much like an afterthought. It feels like a bit of so whatever, this is all about the puzzles. But the more that you play and the more of that narrative that you sort of uncover piece by piece, I actually started to get really drawn into it. And I was like, wow, this is actually really fascinating what's going on here. So, I mean, the general theme, without being spoilery, is that you basically are trying to navigate a series of trials that have been devised by a mysterious figure that kind of writes to you, and he calls himself the Craftsman.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. And you're basically trying to search for something called the null. Now, I wasn't quite sure what the null was, like whether it was another dimension or whether it was a mystical artifact or an object or something like that. And as you go through the story, you become a bit clearer on what you're actually hunting for. But then it becomes really clear that the communication that you're being given is by no means the entire story, and that you kind of start needing to look outside of that to work out exactly what's going on. So it's really, really fascinating in that regard. I kind of get the impression that if I had played the Room 1 and 2, I'd have a bit more of an idea as to how all that links in to the narrative. But I'm gonna have to go back and play them now just to sort of complete that chain and really get it. But I mean, by all reports, the Room 3 is quite a bit bigger than the previous 2 games as well. So, and I have found it to be a very worthwhile game in terms of how many hours I've spent in it and how much content there has been. There is a stack of puzzles, like so many of them. And there's some really, really well thought out ones too, like the intricate nature of some of the set pieces and the designs that you need to manipulate to kind of get clues and sort of, move on is really, really cool. And each location that you tend to be in has like a rough theme. So that key one that Imogen was just talking about before, there's one area where you kind of like in a workshop, and there's like a forge and, different bits and pieces that sort of fit with that theme. And a lot of the puzzles are sort of around that kind of nature. There's an observatory is one of the other areas as well, which
that was my favourite.
Yeah, I like the observatory. It's very, very cool. So, as you would probably anticipate, a lot of the puzzles in that area have to do with, the solar system and that kind of theme. So that's very, very cool. So, yeah, enjoyed that quite a bit. The alternate endings thing, even though I haven't experienced the ending just yet, was a big draw card for me too, because I love games that have that, sort of thing, so you can play it and talk to someone else who's played it and maybe not necessarily have the exact same experience, which is really, really cool.
Big fan of that.
Yeah, it's awesome. The audio was really, really excellent too, very atmospheric, and you could play it without the audio for the most part, but it kind of did draw me in a bit further as I was sort of headphones in, having a listen to it.
Yeah, I'd say headphones are a must.
Yeah, absolutely.
The footsteps were creepy.
yeah, absolutely.
That always creeped me out. I always found myself like double taking and moving the screen around just to double check there wasn't a person. And it did have a slight sort of jump scare-ish element. I don't
It
know.
had a lot of tension, you would say.
Yeah, and especially towards the end, I remember feeling at the end, not just, oh, I think I lost, but also just that sort of inevitable doom.
Yeah.
That's nice and ominous.
Yeah. And so it would be, like I say, I don't know if that's going to be the case for all endings or if this is, a path that I have chosen. They tell you at the end where you can go back and explore to maybe where you can change your fate. And I vividly remember elements of rooms which I would never used in any of the main sort of acquisition of the pyramids that you end up going through, and that's sort of the end of each chapter is these pyramids. I don't think I will go back. If I can just sort of go back into one chapter and just replay one chapter and then go back, fast forward to the end and see if that makes a difference, but I get a feeling I'm going to have to play it all over again.
Well, you'll probably be able to view the endings online anyway. I'm sure someone's captured some footage of them if you are desperate for it. So.
Yeah, I think I'll have a chat to Jamie, and then after that I'll probably have a look at the different endings online.
Yeah.
But, considering I don't enjoy puzzle games, I think I agree with you. I think the puzzles were so clever and very engaging, especially, on the iPad where some of them you had to use 2 fingers at the same time to sort of balance things, and there was lots of spring traps and things like that. Really, really cool. As well as they sort of repeat some really basic ones, and then later on in the game that becomes clues.
Yeah.
So you already know that, this means X, or you already know that this is going to be tied in, and you sort of start seeing some themes, but then each room holds something. But yeah, the observatory far and above, I thought that was beautiful and really enjoyed all the puzzles in there. That, again, had a lot of use with the eyeglasses and those types of things. I really, really enjoyed that room.
Yeah.
How far in is the observatory?
That's chapter 4.
Yeah.
Bollocks. So I've done chapter 1.
Yeah. Oh, look.
Chapter 4 or chapter 5?
I think it might be 5, actually.
It might be chapter 5.
Yeah.
It might be, yeah.
You got plenty of good stuff to look forward to, Ollie. Don't worry about it. It's by no means the only highlight in the game. There's heaps of good stuff.
The paintings one, Luke, that was really cool. That was my favourite puzzle. When you get to that paintings one, let me know, Ollie. You'll know what I mean when you get there. I thought that was incredible.
Frustrating, or it's just like, that's
no,
neat.
it's so clever. I think it's incredibly clever.
Yeah.
And it's that multi-layer, and I mean, that first chapter with that big table, I kind of got to the point where I'm like, which realm am I? Where am I? Am I in the real world, air quotes, now, or am I still in a thing? Or
Yeah.
And there was one particular one where you just went down so many levels that it was like ultra Inception.
Yeah.
Just to solve a very simple puzzle. But it taught a lot of the later game was based on you learning things in that process, which was really fun.
So what did you think, Ollie, so far? You're one chapter in, you probably got a bit of a feel for things.
Yeah, well, having not played the first 2, I was like, the plot, what's going on? Things. That's cool, I guess. But it was fairly straightforward. They sort of reiterate a few major points here and there, so things actually make sense, which is nice. I really like the graphics for it. I really like, as you guys mentioned, the tactile nature of the puzzles. I'm also playing it on iPad. And yeah, it's very intuitive how the manipulation of the puzzles works.
Yeah.
So I was a big fan of that.
So we should probably mention that it's only out on iOS at the moment. It's not actually out on Android for a little while longer. And if going by the Room 2 is any indication, it's probably going to have a release on Android within a few months. So
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the graphics, and I was really surprised by the audio. The audio quality for the game is really, really good.
It is
and
very
that
good.
surprised me for oops, something just fell down. That really surprised me for essentially a little like iOS game as opposed to, a proper full-on game. So yeah, so far pleasantly surprised. I was a big fan of the puzzle game Antichamber.
Oh, yes. Yep.
I like lateral thinking puzzles and that sort of thing. So this game so far has been pretty straightforward. There hasn't been anything that's made me go, for more than like about 30 seconds to a minute or so. So I'm smashed through it pretty quickly, but we'll see. I presume it gets a lot more complex.
Yeah, the difficulty increase from where you are is considerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like already that in the first chapter they're scaffolding their puzzles, which is nice. Like you can see they're setting up like, yes, this simple puzzle here is going to be like a key component of a bigger puzzle later on, sort of thing. Like you can see how they're setting things up like that, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I will keep playing it, mostly because you guys have harped on about this bloody observatory, and I now apparently need to see it.
Oh, you need to see it. It's beautiful.
You need to observe it for yourself.
Yeah. I also really like the fact that it's subtle cosmic horror. Like it's a little bit, tiny bit Lovecraftian, and I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
So, because I
Definitely.
love that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep playing it, I think, in my spare time. I hopefully will smash it up maybe over the weekend.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think overall it's probably about sort of 5 to 6 hours play if you don't dilly-dally around too much.
If I get super bored at work one time, I might play it.
Yeah. I've only got 2 complaints about the game overall. So one is that I think that the scenery is really, really nice, but a lot of the screens are very, very dark. And if you're playing on an iPad, you kind of want to be in a dark environment without any glare on the screen, because if you have any glare and your brightness settings aren't turned up too much, then it's very hard to see some of the things on the screens. So,
I agree. I had to find a room 3 playing spot in my house.
yeah, exactly. And the second issue I had, which I think is probably one that's not shared by everyone necessarily, is just a me thing. In terms of puzzle games, I tended to find that there were some of the puzzles that you were able to eventually get just through process of elimination, because you kind of got to the point where you'd interacted with everything in a particular environment, you'd looked at every particular object you possibly could, and you know which things sort of direct you to have a closer look at and which ones don't. So you can kind of work out how many different interactable objects are in this room, how many things do I have that can interact with them. Therefore, you've eventually sort of work it out. Real puzzle games that throw me for a loop are the ones that have a lot more red herrings than this one, I tend to find. So
That's fair.
yeah, like this one, just about everything that had a meaning in the game actually literally mattered when it came to the end solutions. But in a puzzle game that is a lot more sort of challenging and really forces you to think are some of the ones that actually, if you make the wrong choice, there's a consequence that can set you back. Or if you make a wrong choice, it punishes you in some other way. Or some of the things that are introduced there that, draw your attention are literally there for no other reason than just to put you on the wrong course. So there's not enough of that in my mind. And some people might like that there's not that much of that because they don't like to have their time wasted and be frustrated even more than that. But I find that it's more enjoyable if that is the case, because it doesn't become an obvious case of just, knocking every interactable object off one at a time, and then virtually what you're left with is what the answer must be. So,
yeah.
Some games you can see like the items are, sort of drawn differently in the game, and so that's obvious you're going to have to pick that up.
Yeah.
I didn't find that, but I do know what you mean. There was at least 3 puzzles that I did by accident. Because I started with that process of elimination. Every time I went into a new room, what can I click on? What can I zoom in on? Right, that's this type of socket. That's that needs a power, or that needs, whatever. And I do a sort of clean sweep at a very high level. And yeah, in the observatory, there was one that I just kind of went, oh, okay, so these bits turn. And then it just, congratulations, like, you've completed the puzzle. I went, oh, oops.
That was easy.
Yeah, and so later in the game, when you get the piece that actually says that, I was like, oh, I kind of accidentally figured that one out. There was one puzzle which I got stuck on for a while, and it was just, those sliding, getting things into the right place, and I think it was just, I just wasn't concentrating for the first time around and really messed myself up. And if you're not from that beginning stance in a slide puzzle, then you can do more harm than good. But other than that, no, I'd agree. I think they're fairly easy puzzles. It was sort of a process of elimination. You didn't have to be a genius to figure out any of them out. Just had to be observant.
Yeah. Says the girl who used a few of the clues.
Did not view all of the clues, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just when I was about to throw my iPad across the room. I have to say, what you say about the screen darkness, or the general darkness of the game, did annoy me, and that was a lot of my frustration with zooming in and out, was trying to click on something, and then because I hadn't quite seen an element or something like that, and there was just one bit towards the end which I think my last playing session was a bit too long, so I just
well, the game's pretty good at like creating light sources near things that you need to interact with, like having a lantern on the floor or something hanging up or something like that. But it could be a little bit easier to see sometimes. Turn your brightness settings up is my advice. So
Yeah,
I always
definitely.
forgot. I was always sort of an hour in and then go, oh crap, forgot to sort of do that again.
Yeah.
Although, one burning, very bright thing that's in favour of this game, given the fact I don't enjoy puzzle games, it goes on an incredibly short list of games that I've completed.
hey, there you go.
I am not a completer, so I could have very easily played a couple of chapters of this and put this down, but something about it made me want to complete it. So well done,
Nice.
Fireproof Games.
Good to see they made something that
Make the short list.
there's room in your collection for.
Yeah, Super Mario and The Room 3 and Spyro.
Nice. All right, well, on the topic of completions, we should probably wrap this episode up and get back to our respective gaming and let Ollie do some pew-pewing. That sound good?
Time to battle for some Jakus.
Yep. All right, well, this has been another episode of Party Loaded. You can, of course, get us at partyloaded.com. Please send us some emails. We'd love to hear some listener feedback and your questions or anything else that could be interesting to read out on the show. So send us your messages at mail@partyloaded.com. You can, of course, grab us on Facebook at facebook.com/partyloaded and on Twitter at partyloadedshow. And that is it for this week. What are we looking forward to over the next 7 days of gaming? I'm going to be loading up some Legacy of the Void, I think, and getting my StarCraft on, and hopefully be able to chat about that maybe next time. What about you guys?
I'm currently loading up my Battlefront session, and then I'll finish the Room 3 sometime during this week,
Sweet.
I imagine.
I'm going to plug in my new Xbox and spend some quality time with one Lara Croft. And then I really hope to get back to some Fallout as well. So we'll report back on Tomb Raider.
Nice. And Jamie will be digesting.
For a whole week.
That's it.
Yeah, did you see the picture of the Malteser cake?
No, I haven't seen the
Thing's
picture.
ridiculous. I hate it.
Oh, dear. Yeah, it make me so jealous she gets cake.
Yeah. Oh, getting towards Christmas, I think we're all going to be dealing with that for weeks to come. Lots of eating, overeating, and sitting on our butts and playing games, which, doesn't sound too terrible at the end of the day. All right. Well, anyway, until next time, we're all out. See you then.
Bye.
Yeah.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.